Saudi Aramco IPO, world's most profitable company to go public. This is a really big article, major effects geopolitically and globally. So before we get into this, everyone at home watching, just remember this is not investment advice. This is just commentary here in our office. Also, subscribe on YouTube. You get notifications every time we make a new video. And finally, if you like what we're saying, give us a call, email us, come see us here at Ravenna Capital. We provide comprehensive wealth management for all of our clients. So let me read this article here to you guys. It says, Saudi Aramco has confirmed it is planning to list on the Riyadh exchange in what could be the world's biggest initial public offering IPO. The state-owned oil giant will determine the IPO launch price after registering interest from investors. Business sources say the Saudis are expected to make shares available for 1 or 2% of the firm, and the offer will be for existing company shares. Saudi Aramco is thought to be worth $1.2 trillion. This would be the largest IPO in the history of IPOs. Now, if you guys don't know, here's the little thing. What is Saudi Aramco? Saudi Aramco traces its roots to 1933 when a deal was struck between the Saudi Arabian government and the Standard Oil Company of California, which later became Chevron, to survey and drill for oil, creating a new firm to do so. Between 1973 and 1980, Saudi Arabia bought the whole company. Saudi Arabia, regardless. Okay, so I think I picked this one out, so I'll start off on this one. I thought this was really interesting because something most people don't realize about Saudi Arabia is that the government of Saudi Arabia, this is the largest company in Saudi Arabia, and I think about 80 to 85% of the citizens, the people living in Saudi Arabia, work for Saudi Aramco. It's absolutely massive. A couple things I thought were really interesting about this is that they were considering listing on the London Exchange or the New York Exchange and decided to go on their own exchange. And given that this is a monarchy, it's a really strange offering because one of the what would you say, one of the deals that they wanted in terms of if they were going to go on a global exchange was safety from legal recourse.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which, what does that even mean? What, if you're an investor or a shareholder, those should be major red flags, right? So they're deciding they're only going to issue partial shares, 1 to 2% of the company, to anyone who wants to buy, and it's going to be traded within Saudi Arabia.
Right.
So it seems like, what are they actually doing? They're not going fully public where they're opening up to everything. But it seems like this might be a way for them to slowly divest away from oil and hopefully spur a new direction for an economy that's nearly 100% oil-based. So what do you guys think?
Well, first off, right now, and from what I've read, Saudi Arabia has about 70 years of oil left.
Yeah.
And no different than Exxon. Exxon has made a major move into the natural gas area. Everybody looks at Exxon as an oil company, but they're one of the largest producers right now of natural gas. And as I was reading the article, I read where Saudi Arabia is second in reserves to Venezuela and second in production to the United States. What Saudi Arabia needs to do, and the reason they're doing this, is really to diversify away from oil and move into different areas that is not 100% tied to oil. The issues that you would look at would be the risk, the political risk, the unrest that's going on in the Middle East because they just had a drone attack on one of the oil wells over there, and then quite frankly, with the amount of oil that's being found today, the price of oil is not moving higher, which is the problem that Venezuela and Russia are having when they budget for $80 or $100 a barrel of oil, and it's in the $50 range. So at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia is really trying to diversify away from the oil, so they realize that down the road they don't want to have dry wells come up and no way to keep the economy going in Saudi
The whole
Arabia.
country would go bankrupt.
Right.
What do you think, Chelsea?
Well, as I was kind of reading the article, I went a little off script and just found a little bit more information. I didn't realize that the actual decision, the final decision on what exchange the company will actually list on is not based on what the CEO decides of Saudi Aramco. It's actually based on what the Crown Prince decides.
Right.
And when they decide to go public, the Saudi government actually is still going to remain a 95% stakeholder.
Right.
So they're not giving up total control to investors to actually invest in the company and to buy shares, because a good chunk of it obviously is going to stay within the Saudi government. So I don't really know what to make of this, because it seems like, yes, they want to diversify, but yet they don't want to completely let go of the reins and let whatever stock exchange they do decide to list on kind of control the company's destiny on that front. They still want to have more control, which I don't know enough about the Saudi government or anything like that to comment on what kind of control, but I did read in the article where they would give women the opportunity, Saudi women, to invest in the company, Saudi divorcees to invest in the company. So I think times are changing over there. I also know that in, I think, 10 years, by 2030, the Crown Prince wants to have this huge overtake of energy and oil and just a basic reframework of the entire country.
I think they announced this summer that they're trying to build a brand new city in Saudi Arabia that's only based on electricity or something like that.
Solar power, I believe,
solar
is
power.
what it is.
Okay.
So I definitely feel like this could be a step in the right direction to diversify for what they're really known for. But at the same time, there's not really any kind of, I don't see any kind of success unless they give up some kind of control on the government side and let other people, because I don't know how we would even invest in something like that.
Well, we wouldn't.
We wouldn't be able to.
Well, probably
but generally,
not. And it says in the article that they're not even sure if they're going to do ADRs, which is like how foreigners would get in. They're not even certain if they're going to do that, to allow that or not.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, whenever you have something like this go on, it's really to raise capital. I mean, really, truly, at the end of the day, whenever you're selling shares, it's to raise capital. So what are they going to do with the capital? The capital is, and they've already stated they want to go to more of a clean energy type environment, and the only thing that they have right now is oil. So how do they get capital to start going into cleaner energy that they've already stated as one of their goals without having shares and having people invest in the company that way?
If one of their concerns about listing, let's say, on the New York Stock Exchange was that sovereign immunity from any legal action, what if 5 years down the road on the exchange that they do choose to go with, they're not happy with it, they don't see the results that they thought? Are they able, is a company able to delist off of an exchange and apply to then be
they can add
on the New York
they
Stock
can
Exchange?
add they can add to apply to be listed on a different exchange. They could go
be listed on two exchanges at the same time?
Yeah, because you can be on a foreign exchange, but in a foreign exchange then you have an ADR for a US exchange.
Or if they really hated it, the government, the Crown Prince, could just write a check and buy back all the shares and close it all together
At that
and go
point,
private.
they still own 95%, so it's not even that big of a check.
Right.
Now I'm going to read something else to you guys here. This was a criticism of what's going on and some comments that I was reading. Let me see here. There was a couple of comments I want to read. So this person says, let's see. So they are listing their own stock on their own stock market. Sounds like they are just buying their own shares, but with extra steps, while hoping approved foreign firms will bite, despite the opaque reporting and weak oversight, since they are literally writing the rules there. Basically, nothing has changed. So that's interesting because, again, they're doing this all within their own government's stock exchange. Now, this person says, I'm personally very suspect about this IPO. Why does Saudi Aramco need to go public from a fundamental point of view? Why take on scrutiny, reporting, and red tape of public markets? To raise more money on top of what they already have? Why? Now, like we did say, they're trying to divest, but again, why? Now, here's one last one here. It says, good luck performing oversight on the Saudi royal family. This is what I really don't get. You really think that as a shareholder, you could sue the body for breach of fiduciary duty? In the USA, it has been held up that management and owners still have a fiduciary duty to minority shareholders. This is also what gives shares value. With Aramco, as an investor, you won't actually own part of it. It will always be 100% owned by the Saudi royal family. Also, Saudi Arabia is pretty much an absolute monarchy. The king could just decree all stocks as worthless. I honestly fail to see why anyone would actually want to invest in this. So yeah, that's an interesting argument there because again, if they're doing it only in their country, they can just rewrite the laws. And again, it's a monarchy, so he doesn't even have to go to like a Congress. He just says, no, we're not doing this anymore.
I think the headline's a little deceiving because it says it makes it seem more enticing.
Yeah.
And then when you actually divulge and kind of look into more of the background of the company and the way that the Saudi government works, it's a very a skeptical type of.
Yeah. You're probably only going to have institutional investors get into this anyway. So the institutional marketplace is going to be way more in tune to what their risks are than an average investor would be.
Yep. And also it came on the wire yesterday that they are officially confirmed listing on the Saudi exchange and not US or England exchange. So anyway, that's it for right now. Anything else? Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you next time.